Thank you very much. Jai Ho.
Thank you, Haridas. Hare Krishna to everybody. Welcome to the Sunday program, our second one. And we are trying to, as a temple and as devotees of the temple, we are trying to learn and adapt to this lockdown situation and how to have a sense of normality as a temple. And so we were very grateful to our technical team. We got 3-4 members there who are trying to set all these Zoom meetings now. Today we're trying StreamYard, all just to give you a better presentation when you're receiving it. Forgive us if there are technical problems. Sometimes the sound is playing up, sometimes the picture goes funny. But please be tolerant, and we are working on it and getting so much better. Thank you. So today's class is from Bhagavad Gita. And Haridas was phrasing the question, who created everything? Actually, the subject matter of Krishna consciousness, as taught to us by Srila Prabhupada, is the creator, the source of everything, both the spiritual and material universes, is Krishna. And that is described very nicely in Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the very first verse, Krishna is the topic finishes with the words Satyam Param Dhimahi. The subject we're interested in is the supreme absolute truth. There are many, many truths, different types of truths, but worse than that, in this day and age with the social media, where anybody can type anything, there is so much untruth in the world. So much untruth, so much so that you don't know what's right, what's wrong anymore. Everybody's exploiting the untruthful nature at the moment. But Bhagavatam is pointing to the Param Satya, the Param truth. Yes? And the other wonderful book we have is Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the absolute truth. So these two books, we direct you towards these two books to learn about the real truth, the absolute truth. Hare Krishna. So today's verse is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, and our selected verse is 3 and 4. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadamyaham Sambhava Sarva Bhutanam Tato Bhavati Bharata. Then the word for word of that verse is Mama, my. Yoni, source of birth. Just 1 second. Mahat, the total material existence. Brahma, supreme, Tasmin, in that. Garbham, pregnancy. Tadami, create. Aham, I. Sambhava, the possibility. Sarva Bhutanam, of all living entities. Tata, thereafter. Bhavati, becomes. Bharata, O son of birth. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. The total material substance called Brahm is the source of birth, and it is that Brahm that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living entities, O son of Bharat. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetragya, the body and the spirit soul. So I'll just pause for a minute there. And the reason I picked this verse is I've been sharing with some devotees that I've started to systematically read the Bhagavad Gita from the beginning right through to the end, successfully. And I've been reading Gita for many years, 30 years plus. And the way I'm understanding it now, it seems like I wasn't reading it before properly. And this time I'm reading it and fresh things are just jumping out at me. So, for example, what I just read was in the first line of the purport, the terms Kshetra and Kshetragya are mentioned. The field and the knower of the field. And this is the subject of the previous chapter, chapter 13. And for a long time, I could not get into chapter 13. It was difficult for me to try and make sense of it. But suddenly, because of this, my systematic reading, this time chapter 30 made a lot of sense. And here, this is continuing chapter 14 from the previous chapter. And it was my respect for Bhagavad Gita that I'm picking this verse today to help to illuminate to all of you the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. What a wonderful book this is. So I'll continue reading. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and that total substance of the material cause, in which there are three types of nature, is sometimes called Brahm. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. This total material substance, the Mahat Tattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature. Tasmad etad Brahma nama rupam ananta jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements beginning from earth, water, fire, and air are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahm, or the great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material world. I'll quickly read this verse 4. Sarva yonishu konteya bhutaya sambhavati ya tasam brahma madhyonid aham bija pradapita. So aham bija pradapita, this is quoted often by devotees within Krishna consciousness, within ISKCON. They like this, this verse, this line especially, to identify that Krishna is a source of all of us. And the translation of that is, it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. Krishna is saying, I am the seed-giving Father. So, this description of how Krishna is the father of all of us. There is a picture, a famous picture in our books, which which I never connected with these verses before. But suddenly this time that connection came across so strongly. And I'll try and hold the picture up, and hope if you're able to see that picture. Okay, but hold the picture up. You see the picture? Right. That's Mahavishnu. He's gazing at Durga, and in that gaze is known as Sadashiv. Okay, that gaze is Sadashiv. And with that gaze, he is implanting all living entities into material nature, Durga. Right? That's a famous picture we have. The impregnation of living entities into material nature, known as who is material nature, the deity in charge of material nature is Durga Devi. And material nature is made of three qualities of nature, three gunas: Satagun, Tamagun, Rajagun. This verse is describing that picture. That's the creation of the material universes and the transplantation of living entities into that material nature. That is amazing. That's what I found so amazing. So once again, if I read the translation, the total material substance is called Ram, is the source of birth. Right? So the source of birth is total material substance. We saw Durga Devi there. Right? She is receiving all the living entities. She represents material nature, and she has three qualities, three modes: Sattva, Tamo, Rajaguns. In that nature, that gaze of Mahavishnu is agitating the balance of Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. There it is, the nature is being loaded up with the living entities. And then from that, secondary creation happens, and then the living entities gain material bodies. So that material substance core is a source of birth, right? Mahavishnu is responsible. Mahavishnu is responsible for all of us, all living creatures in the universe, right? He implanted the living entities in material nature. Then they ended up further down in material bodies in different universes. And what is Krishna saying further? It is that material nature that I impregnate. That gaze of Sadashiv, where he gazes, he's just transplanting living entities into that material nature. Yes, he's impregnating material nature. Impregnating. Making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bhagavad. And that ties in with the next verse where Krishna is saying, it should be understood that of all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. So birth as we know it only happened because of our being put into material nature by Krishna. We desired it, Krishna made it happen. Okay, you desire that, you go into material nature, I'll put you in there. And that I am the seed-giving Father. I am the seed-giving Father. Krishna, Mahavishnu, seed-giving Father. How beautiful are these two verses that I never realized before that Krishna was describing this. I hold this picture up once again. Can you see the beauty of this verse in a new light now? Yes. Krishna Mahavishnu is impregnating all living entities into material nature, shown as Durga Devi there. Right? So the wonderful thing I realized with making this connection with that picture, and I admired that picture for a very, very long, from beginning, I've been admiring that picture. The beautiful thing is, it's taken me so long to make that connection. I've been reading these verses for such a long time, and it takes a long time for some blessing to come from somewhere and make you realize the beauty of the verse. The whole Bhagavad Gita is like that. Whole Bhagavad Gita is full of beautiful depth, okay? But it takes time, and sometimes for someone else to explain it, if you realize, wow, that's what this verse is saying. Now, why is that? If we go to the introduction, the clue is there right in the beginning of introduction, after the invocation verses. After the invocation verses, and I apologize today. In my excitement, I forgot to chant those verses. Om Jnanatimiratasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumutamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So those verses, when they are done, the first thing Prabhupada says is, Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gita Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gita Upanishad, meaning Gita Upanishad. It is the essence of Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature. Vedic literature, right? Upanishads are part of the Vedas. Now, again, for a long time, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutras, different phrases have been, words have been used to describe what they are. I heard things like, oh, they are very terse explanations of some truth. They are codified forms of explanation of Vedic knowledge. They are aphorisms. They are sutras. And I was thinking how it's difficult. It was difficult to try and portray that to someone else, saying, what are we trying to say here when we say it's codified, in short, a few words. Sutras are something massive and condensed into a few words. And the best example I came up with just recently is the way to understand these Upanishads, the verses in there are like the codes for something, described as something bigger. They are like the table of contents in front of a book. This Bhagavad Gita has a table of contents. And the table of contents will virtually have just one line saying what that chapter is all about. You have to go to the chapter itself to understand the full topic in detail. So the table of contents, I think of as the sutras, aphorisms, the verses in the Upanishads. There, that's one-liners indicating there's a lot more depth to the subject, but you have to go into the actual chapter itself to find out what that is. But in our case, an easier process is to go to somebody who knows the subject. Go to advanced devotees. Go to Prabhupada's books. He has already explained these things. Right? He has explained. Listen to senior devotees give classes. These things are possible now. Prabhupada has written so many books. He is opening the world of Vedic knowledge to the whole world. Yes, to everyone. Although this is amazing knowledge for Prabhupada, with his hard work over so many years that late in his life, he has given this amazing gift to the world. And please, we keep saying it, read Prabhupada's books. As I said in the beginning, there is so much untruth in the world now, so much untruth, which is exploited by so many people to propagate their own propaganda. That you don't know what's right, what's wrong. It's that bad. So please, to find out who you really are, what this world is all about, what is the purpose in life for us while we're here, find all these things in truth, please turn to read Prabhupada's books. Please read Prabhupada's books. Another beautiful thing about Bhagavad Gita, going to the end of the introduction now. We learned is Gita Upanishad. So the verse I read, that chapter 14, verses 3 and 4, but how this time something there was a deep revelation connected with the picture of creation. It indicated to me that yes, that verse, there's a lot packed in that verse. There's a lot. It's like a sutra. It's like a sutra. But the purport, Prabhupada expands in the purport what the verse is saying. By ourselves, it may not have been possible to come to that understanding. But Prabhupada opened up that verse. Right? The verse is like the one-liner in the table of contents, but someone has to come along and then explain what the detailed information is in that verse. So it hit me that this Bhagavad Gita is full of sutras. These verses are so deep. We've been just casually reading them, but they're full of deep import. And the beautiful thing about Vedic knowledge is it's like an ocean. It's a beautiful ocean. The normal ocean out there, we need to be afraid of it, because if we drown in there, our life's finished. This spiritual ocean, we should dive in it willingly and go as deep as we can to get more and more nectar out of it. So that's why I realized, hang on, this really is a book full of sutras. Hence the definition is Gita-upanishad. It's the Gita Upanishad. It's an Upanishad. An explanation of Upanishads are part of the whole Vedas, the Vedas. And there are two types of Sanskrit. There is ordinary Sanskrit called Lokik Sanskrit. Lokik means ordinary people, those and is lok, that they are able to speak it. But the Sanskrit of the Vedas is much higher than that. Much higher than that. And if you are able to speak Lokik Sanskrit, then the Vedic Sanskrit requires much more effort on your part to come to grips with it, to learn it, to master it. Because there's a lot packed in those sutras, and that is very technical. Very technical. So it requires help from an expert to bring out the nectar in those verses. Right? You have to bring out the nectar, the depth in those verses. Somebody expert has to help you bring it out. Hence, Prabhupada said this another name for Gita Upanishad is Bhagavad Gita is Gita Upanishad. That's the beginning introduction. Now at the end of the introduction, Prabhupada is again going back, is finishing glorification of Gita by quoting Gita verses from Gita Mahatmya. And one of them is the sixth verse of Gita Mahatmya. Sarvapanishado gavo dogda gopala nandana pato vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdam gitamritam mahat. Translation is, this Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the Upanishads, is just like a cow. And Lord Krishna, who is famous as a coward boy, is milking this cow. So there are so many Upanishads in the Vedic literature. But this Gita is the essence of all the Upanishads. As I said, I want to give you the deep appreciation for what Bhagavad Gita is. There are many, many Upanishads. They are part of the Vedic literature, the Vedas, and the Vedas, Upanishads are written in Vedic Sanskrit as opposed to Lokik Sanskrit. And Yet, this Gita Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, is the essence of all the Upanishads. So all the Vedic literature, all the Vedic information, we are not coming to the peak. This is the essence of all Upanishads. And it's just like a cow. As I said in the beginning, be interested begins world of untruths now. Now is more or less a world of untruth. The two books you want to turn to for the Param Satya, the supreme truth, is Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Gita is spoken by the supreme truth. Bhagavatam is describing the supreme truth. So at the peak of this Vedic knowledge is Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. It's the peak of Vedic knowledge. Okay? And it's the essence of all the Upanishads. And this Bhagavad Gita is like a cow. And Lord Krishna, who's famous as Kahavan Goy, Gopal Nandana, is milking this cow. Gopal is milking this cow. But cow only gives milk when there's a calf, and the calf is hungry. So Arjuna is just like the calf. Arjuna is instrument for speaking of Bhagavad Gita. He's asking questions to Lord Krishna, all about life. He's asking these wonderful questions. So he's a cause of Krishna bringing out this milk. But the beautiful thing I like is, and learned scholars and pure devotees and us devotees, I'm adding that on, other devotees. It says here, learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. So this milk which is coming out, these sutras from Gita Upanishad, they're like nectar. They're like nectar. And we are to drink this nectar. How we need to read Bhagavad Gita. Right? Arjuna is asking the questions. He's the hungry calf. Krishna is the cow. And he's bringing out the... So the Gita Upanishad is the cow. Krishna is milking the cow. Right? Milking the cow. Arjuna, on behalf of all of us, asking these wonderful questions. And then the milk is coming, and we are to drink this. This is nectar we are drinking when reading Bhagavad Gita. Think of it like that. Sri Atul Krishna Maharaj, Goswami, he made a wonderful point, which I heard once. He said, and he was quoting this verse. This verse he was quoting from Gita Mahatmya. He said, what does this mean? If we had a container, and there was some milk in it, and we left it for overnight, more than a day, what would become of that milk? It will go stale. It will smell. You wouldn't want, you want to quickly throw it away and wash the cup and get rid of the smell, right? Milk sitting in a glass for a couple of days or more, it's just going to be awful. Okay, this is milk. This milk is nectar. Doesn't matter how long it's sitting there, it will be beautiful. It will be ever fresh. It will be nourishing. That's the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. It never ages. It never ages. 5,000 years ago. Look at the beauty which I'm discovering, and I hope I'm able to convey the excitement to you, and that you pick it up also. This is a wonderful book that we have. It's a wonderful book we have, and it will never go sour. This milk coming from this book will never sour. Right? It will never sour. It will be nourishing all the time, and it will give you fresh enjoyment all the time. It will give you new enjoyment all the time. You'll discover a fresh taste, a different taste, but always wonderful, always wonderful. So I think I will stop there. I hope that some of what I wanted to convey to you has come across. I'm excited by this, what I'm discovering about Bhagavad Gita after so many years. After so many years, what I'm discovering about the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. So please take these two books to heart, and they will change your lives. That's Prabhupada's promise. Prabhupada's promise about his books. Prabhupada said, my books are the law books for mankind for the next 10,000 years. Prabhupada will not cheat you. The world is full of cheaters and the cheated. Prabhupada is not here to cheat you. He is here to take you out of this ever crazier world we're living in. That's the Prabhupada's mission. So, Hare Krishna. If anyone would like to add a comment or ask a quick question, I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm getting comments that, but the picture from mine is not very clear. But my comment on that will be that on my system, I got an iMac here. It's perfect. What I'm saying is perfect, including my own picture. But others are reporting that they are not having good picture quality. So as I said, we are experimenting. We are going into new avenues here. So we have 10 more minutes officially. Okay, one question has come from Shraddha Devi. She's asking, why do we chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta before a Kirtan? And it's not necessarily 3 times. We seek this is before the Maha Mantra. The Maha Mantra was given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a Yuga avatar, and he came to propagate the Yuga Dharma, which is the chanting of the holy names. And he gave us the Maha Mantra, and the Maha Mantra is a very powerful mantra because it doesn't require any formal procedures or vidhis in the chanting of it. Anybody can chant it. Anybody can chant it. Okay, but because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his principal associates, the Panchatattva, they came to spread the Yuga Dharma. We take their blessings also before we chant the Maha Mantra. The persons, the 5 main personalities who came to teach us how to chant Maha Mantra, we get their blessings first. That's why we chant the Panchatattva pranams before we chant the Maha Mantra, either in Kirtan or when you're doing Japa. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, there are no more comments. We're a bit ahead of time, but if we want to move on now, we can.